And we want to take you live now to Premier Doug Ford speaking in East Gwillimbury this morning, denouncing the federal carbon tax. We'll listen in live.
Acting Mayor of East Gwillimbury, Susan Leahy, and Mayor of the great township of King, Steve Pellegrini. See, I gave him a little boost all the time. He likes that. And they're members of council as well. I also want to thank Holland Acres and the Van Luke family. Thank you. What an operation they have, folks, here. You talk about what is it, going into fourth generation. They have 3 generations, 1 more going. So congratulations on that. And thank you for hosting us on your beautiful property here. And a massive thank you to many groups that have joined us today. And they said many groups, and I said I want every single person listed because they've traveled far and wide to come here to show their support. So here we go. The Ontario Federation of Agriculture, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, the Beef Farmers of Ontario, Canada Protein Ingredients Limited, Chicken Farmers of Ontario, Christian Farmers Federation of Ontario, Dairy Farmers of Ontario, Egg Farmers of Ontario, Food and Beverage Ontario, Grain Farmers of Ontario, Meat and Poultry Ontario, and the Aquaculture Association, Ontario Agribusiness Association, Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association, Ontario Goat, Ontario Greenhouse Vegetable Growers, Ontario Produce Marketing Association, Ontario Pork, Sheep Farmers of Ontario, Turkey Farmers of Ontario, Tender Fruit Growers, Holland Marsh Growers, Ontario Bean Growers, Mushrooms Canada, the Canadian Canola Growers Association, the Ontario Trucking Association, the Ontario Forestry Industry, Ontario's Road Builders, and the Residential Construction Council. These groups, and I apologize if I missed anyone, but these groups, their members, farmers and small business owners, they know the true meaning of hard work. They're up early and they don't stop working all day and all night. I'm so thrilled to stand with you. I just wish I could say I was happy about what we're here to talk about today. Yesterday, on April the 1st, against the urging of premiers of every political stripe right across our country, the federal government raised the carbon tax yet again, this time by a whopping 23%. Today, the carbon tax now costs 17.6 cents per liter of gas. And just think of that, the people filling up. Every single time you see that clicker go, that 17.6 cents, that should be in your pocket, not the government's pocket. This isn't the first time they've raised their carbon tax, but it couldn't come at a worse time. Now, because of this awful carbon tax, families across Ontario spent their Easter weekends lined up around the block, waiting to fill their gas tanks up one more time before the increase kicked in. I saw it just down the street from where I live. People were lined up. Everywhere I went, people were lined up. What does that tell you? You know, folks, we have so many people here. I could fill this field, not with hundreds of thousands, millions of people that are against this carbon tax. I'm here today, we're all here today to make it clear. We stand against the carbon tax because we know Ontario families deserve to keep more money and their hard-earned money in their own pockets, not the government's, because we know Ontario businesses can't afford more costly burden. And at a time when the cost of living has never been higher, leaders at every single level of government, they have a duty. They have a duty to do everything we can to keep costs down for the hardworking people of Ontario. That's why, for months, I've been urging the federal government to scrap the carbon tax, and I got to crack that. It hasn't been months. I've been chasing them for years on this thing. And pause yesterday's increase. Not everyone can say they've done the same. For weeks, as the carbon tax hike loomed, Bonnie Crombie has refused to stand against it. Instead, she's dodged questions and desperately tried to change the subject, all while refusing to stand up for taxpayers. In fact, just last week, when given the opportunity to vote against the carbon tax, every single one of Bonnie Crombie's Liberal MPPs sat on their hands and did absolutely nothing. We shouldn't be surprised. Bonnie Crombie is the queen of carbon tax. As a Liberal MP, she was one of the first people in Canada to support the carbon tax. She led the carbon tax charge when she was in Ottawa. As mayor, she raised property taxes every year she was in office, including last year. She gave the largest tax increase in Mississauga's history. And as a Liberal leader, she refuses to stand up against the carbon tax. Ontario families, farmers, and small business owners, they deserve better. They deserve leaders who will stand up for them. They deserve a government that will fight to put more money back into their pockets. That's exactly what our government is doing. Last week, we extended our gas tax cut another 6 months, keeping 10.7 cents of every single liter back into your pockets instead of the government's. That's on top of eliminating road tolls and scrapping the license plate sticker fee. We're saving drivers hundreds of dollars every year, money that's going back into people's pockets where it belongs. And you can bet, as Bonnie Crombie, the queen of the carbon tax, remains silent, our government will never stop fighting the federal government on the terrible carbon tax. I want to thank everyone for coming today, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you.
All right, Premier Doug Ford clearly not holding back there in his ongoing opposition to the federal carbon tax, which of course did go up yesterday. He was highlighting that. He was highlighting in that announcement on East Gwillimbury this morning the impact it has on families, farmers, and small businesses across the province. We will have more on that throughout the morning here on CP24.